Welcome in to the PHNX Suns pregame show brought to you by our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you know whenever we are live. I'm Lindsey Smith here with Espo and Saul Bookman. And gentlemen, it is the final regular season game for the Phoenix Suns. They're going to face off against the Sacramento Kings tonight. How you feeling? Are you sad? Are you ready? Are you a little weird middle ground?
I was just thinking, you two are probably the only ones that can feel like my pain in terms of like sports just never stop. You know what I mean? So it's like, even if this was the last game of the season and we were following a garbage team, like we still got to talk about them like until next season. So I'm just excited that the regular season is finally over. We can get to what we really were waiting for.
Look, Ma, we made it. Finally. Game 2. Playoffs right around the corner. We'll suffer through this one and get to the good stuff. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm kind of bummed, but I'm also not, because this last like 2.5, 3 weeks has just been this weird lull of like it's like, let's just get to the playoffs already. Let's get to the good stuff. You know what I mean? Like the beginning of the season and the meat of the season was super fun. It was really cool to get through. But these last 3 weeks have just been like, it's like the hangover that never goes away, right? Like you came down from the high of the season and all the amazing things. And now you're like, okay, when's the next party?
Yeah, honestly, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I look at this like, oh, my ex-girlfriends looked at our relationship. I got through this so I can get to the next one. Let's get to the good stuff, you know.
always had to go back to the relationship.
Always back to the ex-girlfriends, man. Always back to the ex-girlfriends. I will say this, as opposed to last year, I think, last year it was kind of like a prove-it season, and you didn't know how Chris Paul was going to fit in and all this other stuff, and then they got on that big old run, and everything was really cool, but each big win was like really exciting for us, right? It was just like one thing built on top of another. This year, it was a little bit different because we didn't really have any games that we were like super hyped up for. It was just, it was another chance to prove yourself. And the Suns were so good all year that I'm like, I really feel like now's the time of the season where I'm like, okay, oh shit, I'm about to get nervous all over again. It's like, I don't know if I'm ready for this internally yet,
I totally understand that, because I think the emotions around, because during the regular season, there was so much confidence in this team that it was like, yeah, well, if we lose a few games, like whatever, it's fine. It's really not a big deal at all. We've got however many more left throughout the season to accomplish the things we want to accomplish. Now it's kind of like a win or go home type of a situation. So your emotions are far more heightened, and like that little bit of anxiety is sort of starting to creep in, but it's good anxiety. It's fun anxiety. It's not like the world is ending anxiety. It's more like, let's go get this.
16 more wins. That's what, well, if you don't count today, 16 more wins, is all that matters, and it's going to get a little uncomfortable. We know that. It's just the way the playoffs go for every team, and so we'll get ready for it. We're gonna get you ready for it this week, and then we're all gonna enjoy it and suffer through it together. So that's the great part about it.
All right, well, let's take a look at who is playing in tonight's game, because that's the main topic of conversation in this one, and it's pretty much no one. So the Phoenix Suns are resting Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. Chris Paul is going to be out with the right thumb management. Jay Crowder is going to be out with right ankle soreness, and Cam Payne is also out with right knee soreness. And I'm sure Mikal Bridges will play a handful of minutes and then also sit the rest of the game. For the Kings, Alex Len is out, Domantas Sabonis is out, De'Aaron Fox is out, Terrence Davis and Rashawn Holmes are also out. So a handful of players missing from both sides. So that brings up the question. Espo, you tweeted this the other day, and I think this is a really fun little exercise. Who's going to be the top scorer of tonight's game? We always seem to have somebody really like go off in the final game of the regular season for the Suns.
Yeah, let's hop in the Wayback Machine and take a look at everybody that has had big games in those final games of the year. 2014, it was Archie Goodwin with 29 points. 2015, it was Archie Goodwin with 18 points. That one was less impressive. Mirza Teletovic, the coolest hair on the 2015-16 Suns, had 22 in that season finale. 2017, it was Tyler Ulis with 27 points. 2018 was Alec Peters with 39 points. 2019 was Jamal Crawford with 51. And I left one very important Suns former legend, at least in the final game of the season, off the list. Last year, it was Etuan Moore dropping 22 points and hitting the game winner. So to me, this begs the question, which completely random third string guy is going to go off tonight for the Suns? Who gets the Archie Goodwin Award for this finale?
It's not going to be a third stringer. It's going to be Landry Shamet. Because Landry Shamet will come through in a meaningless game. I just know it.
I could see Landry Shamet having himself a night.
My pick is it's either Ish or it's Bismack Biyombo. One of those two guys are going to fill the stat sheet in an insane way this evening. Dark horse Aaron Holiday, but I don't consider him amongst that group, quite frankly. But I think it's Bismack or Ish tonight that does something crazy.
Aaron Holiday would have been my other one. Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with Ish because he's probably feeling really good. I saw a comment in the chat saying this is Ish's last game. We'll see him next year. That is not correct. Ish was upgraded from a two-way contract to a regular contract today. So he will be in the playoffs with the Phoenix Suns, or at least eligible to play in the playoffs with the Phoenix Suns. We had to sacrifice Frank Kaminsky in order to make space for Ish Wainright. So that's kind of the solidified roster moving into the playoffs. Ish Wainright will be with this team.
The Cove had to close, so Ish could go, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, so I feel like he's got to be feeling real good, like really excited on a really nice high, riding just like the idea that he is the way that this team values him to be able to be a member of this squad in the playoffs. It's got to feel really good. So
yeah, Ish is going to go out there and earn all that money in one night in game 82 of the season. The other guy, we probably shouldn't leave him off the list. And Cosboy in the chat said it as well. Ife Lundberg, we probably should consider him for the Archie Goodwin Award tonight because he's basically playing to prove he deserves to be in the league, which I think everybody is of that mindset. But he wants to show that he's that guy, and he'll probably get significant minutes tonight. So,
what if they came out and had I don't know, 8 threes, had 32 points? Would we be second guessing him not being on the playoff roster spot?
I don't think we should. I don't think we should. Even if he did do that, there will be people who will. Yes. But I don't think we should because as much as I would love for Ife to have himself a night tonight, kind of get on the radar, not just of the Suns, but people in general across the league to be potentially move into this league as, somebody who's actually a part of the NBA for many years to come, because that'd be great for him as a person. Taking him into the playoffs with this team seems sort of I don't know, not the smartest move because he's had the least amount of time to understand the chemistry, to understand the playbook, all the type of things. And that just seems like a little bit of a liability in the playoffs.
Oh, without a doubt. But I'm just throwing that out there that if he did do that tonight, there would be people being like, oh my God, what a mistake to leave him on the playoff roster.
Yeah. Because, the Sacramento Kings defense in game 82 of a meaningless season for them is exactly the same as playoff defenses. I love nuances, not what game 82 debates cause. That's for sure.
Yeah, but either way, it'll be fun. It'll be a fun game to watch, I'm sure, especially the festivities at the arena, all the people who are there for the final game of the season. It always seems to be a really fun celebration, honoring the fans and all of their hard work throughout the season, showing up night in and night out. And we just want to let you guys know that we also very much appreciate you guys showing up to these streams night in and night out and making the season a really fun and memorable season for all of us. Not to get too much on my soapbox there or anything, but
here.
It is interesting, though, that the final game of this season is against the Sacramento Kings, because both of these teams had the opportunity to turn things around back in that 2018 draft. One of them did, and the other didn't.
Yeah, to me, this is quite interesting because there was a time where both these teams were on the rebuild track, and Sacramento appeared to be ahead of the Suns at one point. 2018 seemed to be the turning point. The Suns get the number 1 pick, Kings get number 2. The Suns obviously go with DeAndre Ayton, and somehow the Kings go with Marvin Bagley III. The Suns also get Mikal Bridges in that draft, so you got to keep that in mind. And then that following season, the Suns get Cam Johnson in the draft, and the Kings had traded their pick in some convoluted deal with Philly, so they had no first-round pick. Those two drafts were the turning point where the Suns took off, and the Kings have been stuck in neutral. I mean, I think it's been about 15 years when you look at this team. They can't get out of their own way. They can't make the right kind of decisions. We understood it for a decade, but I just find it really interesting that the different paths these two organizations took after that 2018 draft.
One of the things that, hindsight's always easy, right? Marvin Bagley, a miss for Sacramento. I'm not going to say he's a bust yet because I feel like if he gets into the right situation, he could turn it around. And matter of fact, he's had some really good games up in Detroit. I believe he even had 27-15 one night for the Pistons. So I think just the right situationally, I think is where we're talking about for Marvin Bagley. At that time, I liked Marvin Bagley just as much as I liked anybody else outside of DeAndre Ayton. I didn't know what to expect from Luka because you get a lot of Europeans to come over. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. And Trae Young, I didn't know if he was going to translate to the league at all because of his size, and I was wrong on those two. Obviously, Luka would have been the one. Obviously, in hindsight, he seems to be the one that doesn't need as much structure around him. He could just kind of do whatever he does and still drop damn near a triple-double because that's just Luka. Outside of that, I don't know if Trae Young – they didn't need Trae Young because they already had De'Aaron Fox, so there's that. And then they moved on. So I can't say it's a bust, but yes, in terms of the following 2 picks and what they did with Cam Johnson and Mikal, I absolutely agree with you, Espo. Like they missed so many opportunities. And then they trade the one piece that they got right – and Tyrese Halliburton to the Pacers. Like, what? I don't understand that at all.
And ironically enough, some people think that was the Suns' miss because they could have taken Halliburton when they took Jalen Smith, and they didn't. And the Kings still managed to not hold the one advantage they had against the Suns in a draft. It's very interesting.
But Espo, if we draft Tyrese Halliburton, there is no Landry Shamet. So you got to be thankful for that.
There's no campaign either, to be fair. So
Haydot in the chat said they were still talking about that Halliburton trade when the Nets and the Pacers play today. They said Halliburton cried and cannot believe he got traded. And that's sad. I feel really bad for him. But on the flip side, I don't know. I was really curious to see what Domantas Sabonis would be able to do here with the Kings and see how he would kind of fit in and if that could kind of help turn things around for them. And it hasn't really played out in the way that I think everyone would have liked it to play on the Kings side of things, which is kind of unfortunate for them. Like, it just seems like the Kings kind of hurt themselves at times too, which is, I mean, everyone can kind of relate to that to some extent, especially here as a Suns fan, right? But the Kings, I feel like they didn't do a good job of fostering a relationship with Marvin Bagley as either. Like, there was tension there basically from the jump. Regardless of whose side it came from first is irrelevant in my book because you got to figure it out one way or the other if you're trying to turn your franchise around. And I don't know if the Domantas Sabonis trade is really going to pay dividends for them down the line. And if maybe they shot themselves in the foot by getting rid of Halliburton.
Yeah, he's the first person ever to cry about having to leave Sacramento. Most people have tears of joy if that happens, but he was genuinely sad. Most don't feel that way.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's just the franchise right there, man. That's just the franchise. Like they do need to move. In my opinion, they got to move Sacramento out of there, man. Who the hell wants to go to Sacramento? Nobody.
The arena's gorgeous now, but
it
they
is. It
got
is
a
really
lot of
nice.
work to do everywhere else.
But isn't it surrounded by like cow fields and stuff?
No, that was the old one. The new one's in
Okay.
downtown, so it's in a better place, but it's still in downtown Sacramento. So
I
not that
didn't
good.
dislike Sacramento when I went there. I mean, I only spent a handful of days there, but the arena and surrounding areas weren't that bad.
Yeah.
So
What's the go-to food in Sacramento? Like, was there a go-to food?
well, outside there was a hotel right next to the arena that we stayed at, and then it's like a whole little kind of city, if you will, because there's like a mall with tons of different food options and coffee and shops and everything. So I actually enjoyed being in Sacramento because it was walkable from where we were, and I think that's probably one of the things that I valued the most is being able to like walk around and enjoy parts of the city that were
Close by.
enough. Yeah.
Close by. Yeah.
So Sbarro's is
I don't
the
know
food
anything
of
outside of
Sacramento.
like that 1 mile radius. I have no idea. So maybe that's what you guys are speaking to.
There's a mall with food. Yeah, Sacramento. Come
That's
visit.
it.
But it's
I
not
was
like
surprised. My favorite quote of that part was, "I was surprised it was a city."
well, no, I mean, it's not like an old school mall. It's like an outdoor like plaza with like cool fountains and things where you can hang out. And
It's
the
an
weather was
outdoor
always
mall.
nice. So I
Well,
don't know. Whatever.
so there's a PHNX. All right, come to Sacramento.
If you got a PF Chang's, you're a legit city. Let's go.
Oh my God.
Sacramento. At least we're not Fresno. Like, is that
Okay.
what we're?
But I do have a question on like the moving aspect of this. If you move the team, does that really fix anything? Or is it like a destination thing for free agents that helps fix it? Because unless you sell it and like clean house, you're not fixing anything. You're just moving locations.
I agree with that sentiment, but I do think that there's been some examples of teams that have left one city and have just been a better fit in another city. Not only because of the fan base and the rabidness of this, and Sacramento Kings fans are I mean, they come out to those games. I'm not gonna undersell them, but I just think of a team like like the Browns leaving the Cleveland and then they go to Baltimore, same ownership, and then they win 2 Super Bowls. Like sometimes a change of scenery and just a new outlook will help a team, but I don't know if this is going to be one of those examples for sure.
Sacramento. If you love Mesa, you'll love us. It's like I just look. I think if you moved them to Seattle, you'd have that nostalgia that some guys would be like, "Hey, I've always heard Seattle's a great city. I heard NBA basketball was amazing here." But you're right. In the end, just switching a city doesn't change anything. It's about ownership. It's about management. We saw that here in Phoenix. Everybody says Phoenix is a destination city because basketball is played mostly when it's nice here. And if you have the wrong group in place, it doesn't matter. And you can be bad for a long time. And I think that's what Sacramento is dealing with. But as we saw here, it could wind up that they get the right coach in place, they get the right general manager, and all those other things kind of melt away and they become a resurgent franchise. You got to remember the Warriors were trash for a very long time too and didn't attract guys. And it took, getting Steve Kerr and then Steph Curry as well, obviously was there and things change.
Well, and
Yeah.
real quick, we also got to mention the fact that Espo just had kind of I'm not going to say an old timer moment, but Espo, we do have to remember if they did go back to Seattle, the youngest person in the NBA, were they even born when they left Seattle? You know what I mean? Like,
look, KD still lovingly talks about Seattle. He might be a guy that would go there at the tail end of his career and bang, changes everything. But I think we're getting an expansion franchise in Seattle, not the Sacramento Kings movie. So.
Yeah, that seems more likely. Yeah, which would be super fun. I feel like Seattle and Vegas would make really great cities to have NBA teams for sure.
I still think they should be in Vancouver too. I never understood why they moved from there. So
Well,
That's
I
not a
never
bad
understood
idea.
why they had Seattle right across the river, basically, or the ocean from Vancouver. It's so close. Like, I didn't
different
understand that.
countries, Saul. Jeez.
Oh my God,
I mean,
know
could you
that.
make the same argument about the Clippers and the Lakers, though? They played in the same arena,
Oh,
for goodness
the
sakes. You
the
know what I
Clippers
mean?
shouldn't be. The Clippers should not be in LA. Like
Well,
that. I think everybody in the history of the NBA has always said that.
they should be in San Diego if they could have gotten a nice arena. They should have stayed there.
San Diego would be fun. All right, gentlemen, let's get back on track with tonight's game. Suns and the Kings. Espo, tell us what our friends over at DraftKings think about tonight's game.
Yeah, even though nobody's playing, the Suns are still favored by 10. So that tells you what you need to know about the Sacramento Kings and where they are. Yes, I know that Fox isn't playing and Sabonis isn't playing, but the Suns are sitting pretty much their entire starting lineup and still are favored by 10. So.
Which, I mean, let's be honest, I feel like our bench is far better than their debatably starting unit. So I get that. That makes a lot of sense.
Our
All right,
third,
now,
our third string is better than their second unit.
yeah.
Yes.
What are you guys putting money on tonight?
I am actually going to go with the. I'm making fun of what I just said, but I'm going with the Kings money line. There's nothing on the line here. The Kings are playing for more pride than the Suns are, and I can get a plus 435. So why wouldn't I take a swing on it? I'll take a swing on that.
Okay.
I have the Suns money line, plain and simple.
Yeah, and I've got 3 or more 3-pointers made in the first 3 minutes at a plus 340. I've already told you guys tons of times, I like the bets that happen in the first quarter or the first play a lot. But I think because nobody's going to be playing defense in this game, it's going to be chucking up a bunch of threes. So I don't know. I figure it's not a bad gamble to make, I don't think. And then Gerald's got that the Sun Kings will rise again at a plus 10,000. Gerald's out of his dang mind. I'll say that. The Sun Kings are forever done. They do never exist again.
I love a good Game of Zones reference.
Yes. One of the best Suns jokes of the awful period of basketball we suffered through. So always good to remember that. Look, I don't who the hell knows what to expect tonight. And I don't think it really matters either, obviously. So lock in. We'll get through the 60 minutes. We'll have a little fun in post game, and then it's on to the playoffs and the waiting game where we have to wait till Friday to know.
But there are other things to watch as this game is going on, which is pretty exciting.
Break that down for us, Saul.
Yeah, so if we're looking at the playoffs right now as they stand, the Warriors are in the 3 spot, the Mavericks are in the 4 spot, and then down below are at 5 and 6 are the Jazz and then the Nuggets. Should the Nuggets win and the Jazz lose, they swap. So Denver will go to the 4. The 5, and then the Jazz will go to the 6. And then with the Warriors and Mavericks, same thing. If the Warriors should somehow find a way to lose tonight and the Mavericks win, the Mavericks would jump over to the 3 spot and the Warriors would drop down to 4. Why does that matter to us? That would mean that the Warriors could potentially be our second round opponent as opposed to the Dallas Mavericks, which I know everybody would rather play in the second round. And then with the Nuggets and Jazz, obviously that's huge as well, because I don't think the Nuggets want to see the Warriors in the first round, but neither do the Jazz. So there's a lot of movement tonight in those 4 particular seeds. Everything else is locked up. I think we already got game times right for the first set of playing games for the East and the West. So let's rock and roll, baby.
Yeah, 6:30 on Tuesday Tuesday is the Timberwolves and Clippers to see who gets that 7 seed and who the Suns don't have to play in round 1. So it'll be an exciting week, but it's a lot of hurry up and wait for Suns fans to find out who they're playing.
Yeah, because we won't find out until Friday, like super late, basically, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of an unfortunate, unintentional consequence, I guess you could say, about the play-in game for whoever has that 1 seed. And I don't know that there's any way to fix that if they decide to have this be a consistent thing moving forward across the league. But it does kind of suck for the teams who lock in that 1 seed, because there's no way through this sort of what Monty has kind of called a second training camp, or a third training camp, if you will, to really game plan for that team ahead of time, which I feel like if you're the 1 seed, that would have been something that was like, oh, here's a bonus for locking in that 1 seed, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like the only way you could, if you're going to keep some kind of play-in tournament, is that the 1 seed gets to pick if they want to play the 7 or 8 seed that comes out of it, to give them some kind of advantage still. But at this point, I think the play-in's here to stay, because look at all the drama that it creates going into the last few weeks of the season, where we wouldn't have had it if it's not there. I don't think it's going anywhere. So it's just something that 1 seed has to deal with.
I also don't really care that it's a Friday night. Listen, it's a Friday night game, and whoever wins that game has also got to prepare for the Suns. And the Suns are going to be fully rested. They're going to be ready to go. They're playing at home. You just got done playing 2 games in basically 3 days. And listen, these are playoff games. They're not just, regular season games. So it's a little bit different than your average back-to-back, if you will. Like you've got to go balls to the wall. And so it's a little bit of a different animal when you're having to go on the road and play. And look at Memphis last year. That's exactly what happened with them. They were able to pull off 2 upsets and get to the playoffs, and then they got smoked in the first round. Like it was tough for them. So it's the Suns got the advantage over every team in the league right now. And, the fact that these teams got to play on a Friday night, to me, is even better.
Yeah, I think the only disadvantage is just that you can't plan. You can't work a game plan for a specific team, and everybody else is getting the same amount of rest as you. So it's not like it's an inherent advantage just for the 1 seed. It's not like these other series are starting, Wednesday and Thursday, and you're getting additional rest. So that's my only problem with it. But in the end, it's fine. Like you said, these teams have got to play 2 extra games before they come play you, and they have 1 day of rest. So it is an inherent advantage there. By the way,
I'd rather play a team that just played 2 times in 3 days at full tilt, coming in off of basically 24 hours rest, because they're going to be playing late Friday night, and then they got to turn around and possibly even play a mid-afternoon game on a Sunday. That's going to be too much for them, especially against this team. And the preparation, we already know how complex the Suns are offensively and defensively. That's not something you could just walk into and hope for the best. Like, you better be prepared.
Yeah. By the way, Hey.0 in the chat wants to know if I'm going to shave my beard to grow a playoff beard. I have not decided, but I don't think so. I may let it grow out and not shave it at all from here on out, but I don't really want to go clean shaven again. I already made that mistake once this season on the show.
I mean,
it's not good.
You shaved it after they locked up the 1 seed, correct?
I don't remember when that bet was, but I don't feel comfortable with that, and mostly because I look like a moron. So
I'm going to say that you shaved it after they had locked up the 1 seed, so playoffs started then for your beard.
Okay.
We're going to go with that. Yeah.
Then this thing's going to get real long when we get to June. That's all.
It's like a gray area. You got to read the fine print, but it counts, kind of a
much like my beard. It's a gray area. So.
All right. Well, it is what it is. What can you do? All right, gentlemen, any final thoughts before we say goodbye to go watch this last regular season Suns?
Let's have some fun. Let's see Ife and Ish get some massive points tonight. We'll call it good.
There you go. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget, we'll be right back here, same place, right after the game wraps up. So come join us. Until then, you can hang out with us on Twitter at PHNX_Suns. Or if you are a GoPHNX.com member, you can hang out with us in the members only Discord. If you are not a member, consider doing so. Now would actually be a really great time, as we're about to start this playoff run for the Suns. Gerald writes some amazing content, gives really cool updates over on that site. And right now, if you become a member, you can get your first month for only 50 cents, or you can get a t-shirt of your choice from our locker. So you would have some new swag to rock during the playoffs. So consider it. Head on over to gophnx.com. Okay, bye.